You're listening to the Busproof Business Podcast, taking your business to the next level by taking you out of it. With our experience and proven results, we'll help you find the success that many crave, but only we can help you achieve. It's time to get started with your host, Greg Murphy.
Guys, it's Greg Murphy from the Busproof Business Podcast, and I'm very excited to be back with you guys today. It has been way too long, and I hope that those of you that don't follow me on Facebook, you haven't friended me, or you're not in our Facebook group, Busproof Book Flipping, or you don't follow our Facebook page, Busproof Business, or you're not on my email list. If none of those things are true, you might have thought that I ironically was hit by a bus or something like that, to where I'm no longer alive in this world with the rest of you guys. That obviously is not the case. And I'm happy to be back, and we've gotten a bunch of emails since we stopped doing the podcast to say, hey, that was good content. When you coming back? And I always felt guilty when that would happen. The good news, though, we never got any emails that said, hey, Greg, I'm glad you stopped podcasting, because that would have been weird, I guess. Yeah, that would have been rough. But none of that happened, so that's a good thing. But I'm back now, and I've been recording, in my truck, on my headphones as I'm going back and forth to work and on road trips and stuff. I've tried to spend as much time putting together that kind of content as I could. When I could, because things are getting busier than ever, and we'll get into that soon. I definitely want to talk about the live event we have coming up, towards the end of this month. It's already March, and a lot of you guys have already bought tickets. But Busproof Live is going to be March 23rd through the 25th. That's Friday through Sunday. It's going to be a blast. We have so many people coming, and one of those people is Fred Grundeman from Neatoscan. And he is in sales at Neatoscan. He's been working there for a lot of years. I can't remember the exact number, but he gets into that in the interview. And Fred is, like I said, he's a salesman for Neatoscan, and we've been using them off and on for inventory management for a long time. And we haven't endorsed Neatoscan as something that we say, hey, you guys should definitely use this, because, in my opinion, it's a product. It's a unique product, and he definitely talks about how that is the case in this interview. And it's something that, if you're growing a bulk business at scale, it's something that is super useful. But there can be sometimes where we're not feeling, at least people in our community aren't feeling as though Neatoscan is as responsive as we'd like them to be, and we get into that a little bit, the reasons why. I talked to Fred about this during this interview, and the way that they want to relate to their customers is one-on-one. They want you to call in, and they see that as a feature and not a bug. And obviously some people see it differently, but that's the way they want to run their business, and that's the model that they're choosing. So they're going to be, Fred's going to be at Busproof Live. It's not a sponsorship. He just bought a ticket like everybody else, and so he's going to be there. I thought that's going to be interesting for the people that can show up. When I made, because he called me up and said, hey, Greg, what do you think about me coming into Busproof Live? And I said, yeah, sure. That sounds fine. I think it's added value. And I certainly, whenever I make those kind of decisions about vendors or anything like that, I always wonder what do I wish I had when I first started, and would this be, because my ideal customer, that you guys, my ideal audience is me when I first started. 2009 Greg Murphy. What would I have wanted to know back when I first started? And I would have loved to have been in a room with these guys when I first started using their software. And so just check out this interview that I did with Fred. He's going to be at the live event. He's going to be answering any questions that you guys have. But again, Neatoscan did not sponsor. He's not going to be sponsoring Busproof Live. We're not saying, hey, go buy this. We talked to a lot of people on the podcast in the past with different softwares and stuff. So, but yeah, I just want you guys to see, or obviously not see, right? I just want you guys to listen to these guys. I don't think there's a lot of content out there. At least I haven't seen with this company. So it was certainly interesting to have the conversation, and I hope you guys find it interesting too. So thank you guys so much, and let's get into it. Hey guys, it's Greg Murphy from busproofbusiness.com, and I'm here today with Fred from Neatoscan. As you guys know, that's the enterprise software that I use to handle my Amazon accounts and eBay and all that stuff. So, Fred, how are you doing today?
Great, Greg. It's a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
No problem at all. I appreciate you taking the time. Now, Fred, first off, for people that don't know much about Neatoscan, can you give us a rundown over exactly what Neatoscan is and what you guys do there?
Sure. So for the last 11 years, Neatoscan has been an Amazon third-party partner. What that means is we access their API, we download their database every day, and we make that data available through our Neatopricer app, our Inventory Evaluator application, and our Inventory Manager, which is a full-service Amazon multi-marketplace, multi-channel listing, repricing, shipping, maintenance software. Every part of the listing process, every part of the sales cycle, we're involved in at that level.
And Neatoscan has been on the forefront of making sure that the box level content stuff works. You guys are always there to make sure that your users can still do what we need to do no matter what Amazon's changes are going to be.
100%. At least 4 times a week, we get notification from Amazon saying to us, oh, here's this change, here's this thing. 99% of the time, the end user never knows it's going on in the background. That doesn't mean we're not up a few hours in the night, but we get it taken care of. When Amazon made the change a few years ago and made manifesting a requirement, we realized that if we didn't stay on the forefront and the front edge of that, making the manifest loadable, making the box ship the contents list, the ability to rebuild a box in transit, move it around to be able to reprice while the box is in transit, because you don't want your goods hitting the marketplace and then being at a price that was, it may take 5 to 8 days before something gets checked in. You don't want your prices rolling at what you were priced at a week ago. So yeah, we do our best to stay right on top of each piece.
And so what is your background, Fred? And you know what? I don't even think we mentioned your whole name. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Greg. My name's Fred Grundeman. I've been an online seller for a couple of years now. I opened my first eBay account back in '97. I started out in this business on the retail side as a general manager for a now defunct toy chain called KB Toys, for those of you who remember that world. More than my fair share of Hot Wheels got sold on eBay, for those of you who go back that far. So I've been around for a couple of years. I started out on the book side working with libraries here in my hometown in Virginia, and I started processing good books and selling online for them. Discovered this whole world about 9 years ago, and I've been working with Neatoscan for the last 7.5 years. And so that's I've been around for a couple of the changes that have come and gone.
And so in general, what I hear from sellers, at least from the people that we interact with at Busproof Business, is that it's the book market. It's been getting harder over the years. The margins are getting thinner, and people are dropping like flies, and it's the end of the world as we know it. And
it's horrible, isn't it?
That's what people are saying. So why don't you tell me why that's not the case? Make a case for the used book industry on Amazon today.
Well, I'll make a case for the used book business in general. Okay. Amazon is the big marketplace. It is the big dog in the neighborhood, but it is by no means the only place to do business, right? The Amazon FBA program, which started years ago, which had a lot of opportunity because it was the Wild West. It was something new. And as things grow and develop, things change. What we've noticed are sellers who are willing to grow and adapt and change their model as they go are having success. Sellers who are in this was what my business did 2 years ago, everything's changed, so now I'm failing. The only thing that didn't change was the seller. Does that make it? I'm not trying, if people will look at their processes, you can't control, if you're doing business in a marketplace, everybody knows that if the marketplace says we're all going to jump and we're going to dance to the chicken dance today, then we're going to dance to the chicken dance if that's what we want to do business there. No, that's a great image. Please, later on, we should add the chicken dance to this. But when we're talking about selling, if you're not willing to change, that makes it really hard. Part of using third-party software allows you to keep up on those changes. If you have programs that you're utilizing, that you're paying other people to have access, if you have rules in place that adapt and change and grow, then your business can stabilize. Now, we think that books are just as strong as they've ever been. The difference is you just have to be more selective. I'm afraid that everybody's right. If you're at let's just throw mud at the wall and send in Gaylords full of 1,000 titles, you're going to end up getting hurt. But if you're selective and you're good with what you're looking at, you can be really successful.
I remember, because I started back in 2009 selling online, and I remember meeting some people at the time that said, we're getting kind of in trouble now because we sent in 50,000 books to Amazon's FBA. We just sent them everything. And now they're saying we can only have one title of each book. This is the disaster. And I said, well, Daddy Bezos had no plans to have a storage facility. That was never the plan.
Right.
So, but every time, what I think in general, what I found is that booksellers, people that have been doing this for a long time, are probably the laziest entrepreneurs in the whole wide world as a group of people, because of the fact. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Yeah, because of the fact that you could be like, it was such a great opportunity that money was just everywhere, and so you didn't have to get good at it for a long time.
I cannot argue with that. The only caveat I would add is that people in general in business, that is not just in online, that's everywhere. If you get comfortable and complacent, that's when entrepreneurs have their biggest problem, not just in books. But that's a gimmick. That's an entrepreneurial problem. I think you can agree with that.
Oh, I certainly do. But what happens is that if you don't have to grow, if you can get fat and lazy and still make enough money to feed your family, that can definitely happen in terms of like what you're doing as a business as a business owner. If you're not growing and building and trying to make changes like you're saying, you're going to get hit.
100%.
And so there's people that were doing this for a long time when I started, even in my area, and very quickly I found out that what they would do is they would go to a library sale once a month and buy a bunch of books, and they thought the business was you do that, and then the rest of the time you stay home and watch daytime television and fill orders. And that's not going to work anymore, right?
No, you are right on all accounts. There's no question about that. That is, and as a rule, in general, the evolution of the book market just like the evolution of the dinosaurs. Most of those sellers have been weeded out.
And what I had
or at least we can hope so.
I had a meeting with my some folks from the leadership team today, and we talked about how something that I have trouble with sometimes, and the reason that third-party software exists, which is I tell them, I need you to do only what you can do. And if there's a product or a service or a staff member that can do something, you don't need to be doing it. You need to be focusing on what adds the most value to the company. And
right.
It is a bummer to do almost anything using Amazon directly, to ship books, to list books. Any of that is terrible. And I knew from the very beginning that I was not going to do any of that. I used lots of different software, but I knew that it was a terrible idea because I only had, 15 hours or so a week that I could devote to my business, and I knew I needed to spend all of that time, or as much of it as I could, on sourcing.
Sure.
And
well, that is, it's funny that you mention it that way, because you're 100% on it. One of our mantras with our software is we endeavor. There are lots of different applications. You can have a repricer, you can have a lister, you can have a reporting and a metrics piece. You can have all these things. Every time you have a piece that's unique, that's separate, that's not in one part, it's hard for it to communicate with your other pieces. You're the central focus point. And the one thing it takes to make all those pieces communicate is your time. And with Neatoscan, one of the things we're proudest of is if we can shave, let's say we shave 5 seconds off every step you take in building an FBA inbound shipment. From you're sourcing it, you're scanning it out of a Gaylord, you're hitting the listing screen, your snippets are pre-built, everything's ready to list it, so you're ready to go. Your label generation at the time, so you're not hunting and putting the labels on later. If I save you just that little bit of time, right? Well, let's say you've got 40 books in a shipment. Some people are greater, some are smaller, but you got 40 books in a shipment. Well, if I saved you 30 seconds overall on every one of those boxes, every one of those units, you just bought 20 minutes on that shipment. You're shipping out one shipment a day. You just added an hour 40 that you could be sourcing this week for extra product. 30 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but in every business, it boils down to touches and time. And you're absolutely right. Your people that are in your people and your leadership team, if they're physically doing chores that you can automate and move through so they're not doing the things that make your business grow, that's where you lose money in this field.
And so what do you think are some of the trends, I guess, that are happening? Because, we recently just had these new fee increases that, some people are saying, the world's going to end just like they always do. And some people are already talking about ways to mitigate this stuff. But I think, and tell me what you think, if I'm right or wrong, but I don't think that Amazon wants most used books in the fulfillment center. It seems to me that what they're trying to do, and it used to be Amazon would give us nudges every year around February to change what we're doing. Now they're hitting us with a sledgehammer. And so they're really, we didn't listen when they nudged us. Now what they're doing, they're really getting into our pocketbooks. They don't want to be a storage facility, and they want stuff that's moving really quickly.
Well, I can't say that they don't want a specific category in their warehouses. I can agree with you that they want stuff in their buildings that turns. Over the last 8 years, I've been in 4 different FCs. And universal
fulfillment
constant in all of them.
Okay.
What's that?
I'm sorry, fulfillment centers. So you've been to 4 different Amazon fulfillment centers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've taken the tours, been inside, been through them with customers. We've been on site. And when I've seen them inside and I've seen their, and it's been every year they get more impressive and they change more. But the one constant is there are no sections that are ever stale or stagnant. They constantly move goods. They're constantly making room. They're constantly shifting. The ergonomics of the warehouse, the way the warehouses are laid out, are designed for the effectiveness of their process. And you give them a lot because they are the leaders in product management and movement. When you look at people when you look at people sending in goods and they go, you know what, this is going to sell really well come Christmas. This is going to sell, it's books on Christmas cookies, and they get a great deal on them in May, March, April, May, that kind of year. In Amazon's world, well, that's great that you're going to get a good deal. But if you send it in and you're going to sit here, then we're going to charge you for that privilege. They would rather you keep it at your facility till the time comes. I'm not, I don't know that it's any different than they've ever done. I think they're just charging the storage fee differently now that it's going to be monthly. It's a much higher storage fee with what's coming in, and it's what they're setting. I believe the new one it's going to be $690 a month over a year versus where it was $22 before, $22 for once every year for the 6-month period. Well, if you take $690 and you leave something in Amazon for a year, $690 times 12 months, that adds up really quick. They want people to take responsibility for their inventory. If it's something that's not going to sell, or if it looks like it's something that's going to sit around, they want you to store it and sit on it. That's, and if not, Greg, you've been renting physical retail space for years. You know how much a square foot of retail dirt costs, right?
I surely do. And before we get too much further, though, I had a question about the FCs that I want to. Did you go to one that had those cool little Roombas that like jack the shelf up and bring it to you?
No, I have not seen the automated picker. I have not physically demoed and watched the demo of an automated picker. I've been to Indianapolis. Let's see, it was Indy and EWR4, RIC2, and Charlotte CLT. So those are the ones I've been to. At the time, I didn't see the fancy auto machine. That doesn't mean they're not there, but they didn't have them. I didn't see it on the tour part that I went through. So.
I didn't mean to derail us a little bit. I was just very curious because that thing looked amazing. That's that when you walk through and you see the machines and you see the giant routing conveyor belts and the machine and watching packages go through, it's a marvel of automation. You watch it go through and you think, oh my gosh, that you're even part of something that's that volume and that speed. It's pretty amazing when you watch it live. Now, our audience, they sell, at least most of us sell a good portion of DVDs and CDs and books and stuff like that. You guys, Neatoscan, you can list anything that you can sell on Amazon through there, but is most of your customer base book related?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Books are an easy entry level catalog, as you understand. We have many customers that come to us with books, and after they've been with us and they realize what's available in the marketplace, they expand their offerings. I've been selling books. I have my own account on Amazon. We won't talk about what my rates are, what my what my feedback and my scores are. Because I do it. All of us here feel that in order to work with sellers, you have to understand sellers. And if you don't have an account, how can you tell people, hey, this is how you should be doing it, or this is a way to look at what you're doing? So we all have the owners all have accounts. We purposely make sure we know what's going on in the market and we're aware of it. That way we get the same emails you do and we know what's happening. As far as Neatoscan, our customer base, we have lots of booksellers. We work with thrifts and charities. We work with private. One of the things about Neatoscan is we don't copy rules for people. If somebody comes to us and says, this is what we want to do, one of the reasons we don't give free trials of our Neatoscan Inventory Manager software is because our software is custom built for you on your strategy and your mindset. During an installation, and you've talked to our guys in our front office multiple times, Greg, you know our guys, if you have a question and you say, well, I want to do this, they will come back and say, well, here's how we can make that happen for you. This is what we can do with this theory. Sometimes they come back and go, yeah, we just can't get there, but we're honest about it and we don't try to fake it. We tell you what we can do and we're glad to help you when we can.
And so if you get a new customer and they pay you the install fee, They can't say, "Hey, give me Greg's rules. I want Greg's rules for buying books." Right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Now, they can call Greg and say, "Greg, call those guys at Neatoscan and authorize my rule off because we want your rule set, and I want to do what you're doing." And if you call us up and tell us that a customer is part of your group and authorize it, we can copy rules. We just don't think it's a good idea because your rules are built for where you ship from. They're built for your area. They're built for your location. As I understand, you guys are in Kettering, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
You're relatively centralistic from a shipping standpoint. So if you're sending into FBA, your warehouse distances are different. Well, if somebody starts in Virginia or California, they have different shipping bases. I wouldn't want your rules to start a business that was shipping from a different direction. Nothing's going to line up on the back end. It's all the details have to be considered, and that's what we try to do.
Gotcha. So there's a big debate going on here, at least, about whether FBA is worthwhile to continue with for most books. Most of us all agree that textbooks you really can't get away from with FBA. Students need them now, they want to use their mom's credit card to buy it overnight, and so
Amazon gives college kids a free FBA account to start with, so you hook them in. Oh yeah.
So we know that, but beyond textbooks, what is the consensus? Do you think that I don't want to give, I don't want you to speak about your customers or anything, but I guess maybe just do you think that it's going to trend to where more sellers are going to be doing merchant fulfilled versus FBA in the future?
Well, that's really hard. And I say that because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool FBA supporter and believer. I drank the FBA Kool-Aid many, many years ago, and I stand by that. The problem is, as in any business model, when your profits are being taken out of the middle, you have to adapt. And on February 22nd of this year, or was it February? I guess, yeah, it's the 22nd. When they made their process change, that added 50 cents across the board to your fee set. Well, you will notice people didn't raise their prices. Lots of people just accepted, well, it is what it is. The problem becomes merchant fulfilled sellers can sell a book and deposit $1 in the bank at, I want to say, $5.75, $6.15, something like that. If they're just doing straight media mail, you can put $1 in the bank, and for a merchant fulfill for an FBA seller to put that same $1 in the bank with the new fee out on a 2-pound book, you've got to be $2.50, $3 more expensive with your inbound shipping, et cetera. When you incorporate all of the fees, right?
Right.
And there was a time when you could make what they called, some people, they jokingly referred to it as the gouge. Here's the premium that you could charge as an FBA seller to prime customers because they were getting their product sooner and they were willing to pay it.
Well, Fred, we prefer to call that the bump. Okay, the bump.
Sure.
Okay.
I've heard it called lots of things over the years, and the bump is good. But now that bump, it's not a bump anymore. It's a speed bump on your business because you have no choice but to send up. And your pricing, you may be numbers in the old days at $1 up or $2 up, you'd be like maybe number 5 or 6. If you have a bump big enough to cover your expenses, it may put you on page 2. And if you're on page 2, it's hard to make the sale.
So what we're finding though is through friends of ours and stuff. At least the numbers I've heard is that because there's the feed that Neatoscan and the other everyone gets the feed from
the API. Yep.
Yeah, the API feed, and so they're only showing the lowest certain number of offers to you guys in order to display that information to your customer. And so what I've heard lately is that around only about half of all the books are going to be able to show you that lowest FBA price because of the merchant fulfilled prices that are a lot lower. Does that sound correct to you?
There's enough truth in it that it's close.
Okay.
And so Amazon, it's been years now, Amazon produced it's referred to as the bucket system. Because Amazon's claim, as it's been explained, the claim has long been that people don't shop on price, people shop on condition and feedback trustworthiness, okay? And that price is the least important thing. So when Amazon is producing prices for you, when they send back their information, they take everybody that's in a feedback group and all of the titles that are in good condition and everybody whose feedback is 98 to 100, and they take all of those sellers and bunch them together, and that's in bucket number 1. And then everybody who's in condition good, whose feedback's 95 to 97, they bunch all of those together. Now, once they've taken everybody in every feedback, in every possible combination, because you got like new, very good, good, used, all at 98 to 100, blah, blah, blah. Once you bundle all of those groups apart, once you separate them all, then they take the lowest price in each one of those buckets, and they put those buckets in price order. So if the person who's the lowest price is 90 to 94 feedback and they're in acceptable condition, that lowest price will be bucket number 1. Well, is there anybody who has an FBA unit in the group 90 to 94 whose price is higher than that lowest merchant fulfilled? They're still going to be in that bucket. Does that make sense?
A little bit. So
if we don't see, if they're in the group together, if it's all bucketed together, we can only see that they only send us the price of the lowest person in each bucket.
Okay, I get you. Don't we also get? Doesn't the feed also give us access to the lowest FBA or the buyback price or the buyback price?
If there's an FBA, so if there is an FBA price in the low 20 buckets, it will give us that lowest FBA price. If it's in the 20 buckets, a lot of times it'll come back and say no FBA found.
Gotcha.
One of the features we have in Neatoscan, one of the things that a lot of people use that you can turn on, is if it comes back when you're pre-scanning or you're pre-listing, it comes back and says that no FBA was found, it will actually pop open the item page and take you to the used listing with the show prime only filter activated, and you can see instantly if there really is one there live. So
basically what you can do is you can pull up does it still open a window, or does it open multiple tabs?
It pops the window up to the Amazon page. Now, obviously it slows you down a little bit because you're now, obviously you've gone into live lookup mode, right?
Right.
No, it's not really so. And if you're trying to run this business on a Windows 7 computer, I would encourage you, just go buy a new machine. But because you understand what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
But the faster your RAM, it'll pop the window open to the item that pulled it up. Easy peasy.
Awesome. It's pretty cool. And what's really useful with Neatoscan that I like the most, the part that I like about the software the most is the pre-scanning, where we scan a book, and based upon the rule system that we have in there, it'll automatically show a color to the crew that's doing that. Red means whatever, throw it out. Green means this. Blue means that. That's something that has sped things up in a big way for us, because it was the same sort of thing that there's a lot of that kind of software that's mobile for the phone and the PDA from back in the day, but nothing that could have the kind of rule set to do what you can do on the desktop computer.
And thank you for saying that, and we're pretty proud of that as well. You're absolutely right about handheld devices. the Android and the iPhone have changed the way field book scanning happens. But to this day, I still have customers who have tablet computers and Bluetooth scanners, and they put their tablet computer, not an actual tablet PC, they put it in the front of their cart and take their Bluetooth scanner and their earbud, and they're rolling through thrift stores scanning live with Inventory Manager because it just gives so much better a result.
See, I didn't even know that you could do that. I didn't even know you could put it on a tablet.
If you know, it's not. Now remember, it's not a tablet, but there are groups out there. Dell made a 8-inch PC that was a tablet about 3 years ago.
Okay.
There are actual tablets that are PCs. They're not touchscreen. I mean, they're touchscreen, but they're not like you're not like your Samsung tablet or your Android based. They're actually PC. They have an actual Windows operating system on a handheld tablet.
So it'll have a full Windows 10 or whatever operating system?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. I think they were all 8. I don't know. I mean, there's some to do it. You've seen the flip, the Microsoft Surfaces that flip over and become a tablet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does it just fine. Runs it just like on the tablet.
That's interesting. Yeah, that is cool.
It gives you the ability to be mobile, that's for sure.
My thing is, at least for our workflow, I don't think it would do well in the store, and I might even get one of those but yeah, I would not want that in a warehouse situation. That could walk off. Yeah.
100% no. You want something rough and tumble. You want something that can handle, if you got forklifts and gaillards and drop it on the floor, you don't want to, that's not a place where you're putting a $500 surface, right?
Right, exactly right.
100% agree with you there. But yeah, no, there are lots of opportunities. The ability to change the colors you were talking about, the ability to customize what you want. We have base sound effects that we keep in. We had a customer come to us recently, and they had a visually impaired employee, and we put in a set of rules on their machine that's completely sound-based. We got rid of all the colors. We changed it out so that there was, instead of color-based, it was sound effects. And on that one employee's machine, there are custom sound effects for that person that go with the colors that every other employee would get. We can custom build anything. We can customize the process to whatever works best for that client.
Yeah, that's amazing. So to speak, and we went over this a little bit before, but one of that I know is one of the big objections to people that are looking to try out the software, the Inventory Manager,
sure,
is that it's a pretty substantial install fee compared to competitors. And so I know you and I have talked about this before in just private conversations that we had. But what would you say to people that they might have a larger business, but they're just not ready to make that kind of commitment? And why is that different than other pieces of software?
Well, so there's two different parts of this conversation. There's the install fee. We base our install fee on the amount of time and the work it takes. Whether you're doing 200 books a month by sending in 4 boxes to FBA, or you're doing 1,000 units a month going in, or you've got 10,000 in your merchant-filled warehouse. We don't, as I said earlier, and that's a great segue to it, we do everything custom for a new customer, okay? We make sure that new customers have the tools they need. We maintain a staff that's live. We don't send you to an email lookup. If someone has a question, they are guaranteed access to a live human being. They call in. We're open Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday until 5 p.m. on Fridays. We want to talk to people and work with them one-on-one. What we don't do is toss out. We've had so many people over the years say to us, well, I just want to try it out. Can't you just stick some base rules in there? Let me see how it works. And the answer is no, because if you don't know what you want with your business, the number of people who start out in this business and they say, well, I just want what Greg has. It's just, we talked about that a while ago. we don't give you what Greg has. If you don't come to the table knowing what you need to do and knowing how you want it built, your experience with our software will not be very good. How many people have you met, Greg, over the years who, when they start out, they go, well, I'm just doing it the way Joe does it, or I'm just going to do it the way, and eventually, very quickly they're going to find out Joe's method may not work for you. You have to have an understanding of the business, or it can come turn around and bite you.
But
I'm sure you've met people in that role.
Certainly, but at the same time, like, you don't have to, like, I don't know the technical, and I've just had last week or the week before when we were setting up the new Amazon account, one of the new guys was on the phone with me for about 5 hours, and I told him, like, look, I don't have to know. All I have to know to tell you is, hey, I'd like all books that are under this rank with this price. You don't have to come building it all out. You just have to know the kind of stuff that you want.
That's right, and you have to know it, and that's why. And part of it is you talked about other things besides books. We don't just build you a book tree. If somebody comes to us, we take your base book series, and we create rules in all of the applied catalogs to make sure you're covered. Because everybody in the book field had gone to list a book and it turned out to be a toy, or it turned out to be kitchen, right? Because even though it smells like a book, it looks like a cookbook, but it's health and beauty or it's kitchen because the original lister put the ASIN in the wrong category, right?
Right.
So when you do that, when you list that item, you have to have a set of rules that reprice that item, because even though it's not in the book catalog, it's in the kitchen catalog. And if you don't reprice it right, well, you've got problems, because all of a sudden that book doesn't have rules for it. So we make sure, our mission is to make sure every piece is covered. So we put a lot of work in on the front end, and we know that we believe that the investment is worthwhile. We have skin in the game. As you know, the way our pricing is set, it's a percentage of your gross sales, and the more you sell, the less we charge.
As a percentage.
As a percentage.
Yeah.
Percentage.
Yeah, let's make that clear.
The more your gross sales go down, the less percent of money that we take that is paid to us on a monthly basis. Your success, I'm not saying we get paid, the check will be any less, because you'll pay us more money. You'll obviously pay that's the way it goes. But when you reach a certain plateau, 0.5% on gross, that's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah, I have had those Neatoscan emails for the month when we have a big textbook season. You get the bill in February, and I'm like, $4,000, that's nice. But you forget all the revenue from the.
But the amount you sold against that to
of
be
course,
there.
Yeah, of course.
And that's one of the other parts with Neatoscan is people tend to. Amazon pays you money every 2 weeks like clockwork in most of our cases. Now, some people have the classic those golden egg accounts where you can withdraw money every day, but I haven't seen one of those in a long time. So every 2 weeks you're pulling money out. Your money comes, you're available, you've got your cash going, and you're doing business in real time. And then out of the blue, 2 weeks into March, you get a bill for business you did the first week in February. That's one of the things about Neatoscan. We bill in arrears. We're providing you data. We don't charge you up front for your service. We're not a service that pay us on the 1st of February for your February service. We don't get paid until after you've done business. We stand by our work. The other part is we don't have contracts. If people aren't happy with the way we do business, we encourage them to find a solution that makes them successful. We're not going to trap somebody who doesn't want to be with us. We hope that's the right way to do business.
So let's transition. So you're going to come out and join us at Busproof Live, actually this month now that it's March. So
there we go.
So you're going to come out, and so for those of you that are listening to this, Busproof Live is going to be March 23rd through the 25th, and Fred emailed me and said, "Hey, Greg, I want to buy a ticket. I want to make sure that that it's not a big deal, but he's been ghosting us in the Busproof group now for a while. I've learned, and
I'm actually been, and you go back, I've got some posts in there. I haven't tried, I've tried not to stalk. I've actually tried to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Because not from a Neatoscan side, but just if there's help in general, I could
Right.
do. So.
No, but yeah, I'm teasing Fred a little bit, but yeah, I didn't know until you guys called me up and said, hey, I've been in this group and I want to buy a ticket, and we said sure. So for those of you guys that are going to come to Busproof Live, Fred's going to be there. He's going to be sitting in the audience. Hopefully we'll have some time to get into Neatoscan back at my bookstore on Sunday. But yeah, Fred's going to be there. Hopefully he's going to be shaking hands and kissing babies and all that fun stuff.
Well, my hope is that I know that quite a few customers on Busproof Live, on the Busproof page, already use Neatoscan, and I want to use this opportunity to invite them. If you've got questions, if you have a question about how it works, or if one of the things Greg mentioned is that it's, sometimes it's hard to know when features or what's available. Hopefully during the conference there'll be some time to talk about some of the features and some of the other things. If people have questions about Neato or how it works, I'll have my machine there. I'll be happy to look at people's accounts, and I'll be happy to demo and show it to anybody who wants to look. But my intent is to come there and be part of the crowd and be involved. Awesome.
Well, we look forward to it. And yeah, there are going to be a lot of folks that use Neatoscan. And one of the things that for you guys, the way you guys do business is it's more of a feature than a bug. But I know that the fact that everything is so personalized, and you call in to make changes and see what's going on, I know that in the past some people have been frustrated by that, to where there's not like a way for us to see an update of what the new features are, or like tips and strategies in a blog or something like that. And so I know that for what you guys are doing and the way you guys do business, you see that as a feature because of the ability to deal with people one-on-one in a phone call. But you can understand how some people would prefer to have, a different option.
Sure. Oh, I absolutely. One of the reasons, so here's I think you know this, but some other people don't. Every time there's an update, every time there's a product update, you'll notice that little blue number in the upper left-hand corner of the screen changes, up where the database download.
Yep.
It's right below your login name, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's actually a live link, and if you click on that little number, it is every feature and every change that happened in every update going back in the cycle.
Well, yes,
so
but...
somebody... No. What I'm saying is if somebody I said you already knew that was there. I know you know that's there. There are a lot of people who don't, and there are people who will send us emails. We get emails all the time going, what does this mean? So we understand that, and I can understand people, wanting to know what every piece does and how it works. Unfortunately, and this is the simplest part of it, and it's not meant to be critical at all of my own company. There is no way. Every time there's a change, every time something updates, every time there's a background change, that ripples all the little changes. One of the reasons we don't have an FAQ is managing a list of changes is, if we did that, getting the word out to people, it's much harder. What we found is we work with people on a one-on-one, and we guarantee anybody who asks, we try to answer the best to our ability. So I certainly understand your point, though. I do. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Fred, for being on the call with me today. I look forward to meeting you and buying you a beer.
I guarantee I'll take advantage of. So
all right.
I'll see you in a month.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Weeks, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, I want to know what you think about the interview. I think it was very interesting. It was good to get their perspective about what they're trying to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. You can always send me an email, greg@busproofbusiness.com. And if you're interested in coming to the live event, there might still be time depending on when I figured out how to put this up. So go to busproofbusiness.com and you can look at our product page and you'll see Busproof Live tickets there. So definitely come out, and it would be great to see everybody. There's not a ton of tickets left. We still have space, but we have to figure out how many seats we need for all that stuff. So you want to get on that as soon as you can. If you go there and the tickets are no longer available, then I'm sorry, but hopefully you can come out next year. So thank you guys so much, and I promise you I will talk to you soon. This is not the only podcast in the new reboot. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate all you guys listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
That's all for this episode of the Busproof Business Podcast. Be sure to point your browser to busproofworkshop.com to sign up for our mailing list and to get your opportunity to enroll in one of our specialized seminars, guaranteeing you continued results in typical Busproof fashion. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to taking your business to the next level right here on the Busproof Business Podcast.